Most of us believe we trade for money and money only, when in fact few of us actually do. Do you know the true reasons why you trade? If not, careful what you wish for you just might get it. Before we get started, if these episodes help bring clarity to your trading and to the market as a whole, please like, comment and subscribe below. And if you don't like what I do, like and subscribe anyway, for kindness is the best revenge. In the previous episode, we talked about the idealistic trader versus the realistic trader, two completely different market participants. Either of them typically trades for reasons they may not understand, for what we think we want and what we really want are usually two completely different things. So why then do we trade? What are our real incentives? Is it money? Most people will claim so, but here's the thing. Whether in trading or in life in general, we often think we want money, whereas deep down, we actually don't. At least it's rarely our true main incentive. Well, if it's not money, what is it then? It is universally said that we get what we truly desire, and the markets are certainly no exception. This may sound like flower power bollocks, but pay some extra attention and you will begin to see it everywhere. At the end of this episode, I will reveal the true reasons why I trade myself. It was difficult to find out, but at least now I can base my trading on reality rather than on disillusions. Now, in order to figure out what our real incentives for trading are, we first need to understand why money is rarely the real incentive. Sociologist and philosopher Slavoj Zizek says we don't really want what we think we desire. Instead, we want to keep those desires as distant objects which we can dream of.
We don't really want what we think we desire.
Now, deep inside, we want to keep most of our desires as idealized dreams, because once we actively pursue and achieve those dreams, or statistically speaking, our personally tailored extreme outliers, reality will most likely disappoint us by under-delivering in comparison to our utopian dream standards.
I just got bored. Everybody out.
For reality can rarely, if ever, compete with our dreams, at least not in the long run. In our minds, our dreams are tailored down to the very last detail to fit our own personal preferences. When dreaming of money, for example, it's not just about the money alone, but rather about the specific concerto of feelings that we want money to evoke within us. For if money would just buy us whatever we want to, but without those specific feelings that should come with it, we would be automatically disappointed.
When I got it, I won't say it was a depression, but you kind of go through a disappointment because that fame or that thing didn't satisfy the way you thought it was going to satisfy.
For this reason, when we dream of money and wealth, for example, this desire is based on our own personal and idealized expectations of the perfect world, utopia. For it's simply based on everything we feel, yes, feel, money can and will do, and the problems we believe money will sort out for us. For if only we were rich enough, never again would we feel boredom, insecurity, doubt, powerlessness, etc. For money would fix it all, at least in our dreams.
Take a hike, boss. I'm running things now.
All hail King Homer.
But deep down we know that this would never be the case if we were to ever amass a fortune. Therefore, we may entertain our personally idealized and utopian view on money, but when push comes to shove, we actually don't want it. We just want our dreams and desires intact and undamaged and untouched by reality. For what will happen if we acquire loads of money just to have all of our dreams and expectations slaughtered by reality? That would be the ultimate dream killer, which would automatically kill our dreams in every other field too. For if achieving a fortune wasn't as fantastic as we had first envisioned, why would love be? Why would status, power or trading for that matter be? For this reason, to avoid disappointment, our subconscious typically works against us rather than helping us to achieve those financial dreams. For believe me, striving for riches and actually achieving it is risky business for your inner life. I have many wealthy friends and acquaintances, and they have the same amount of problems as you and I. They just don't have money problems.
I take antidepressant medication. I've gotten very neurotic, manic, sick.
But does this mean that nobody day trades or swing trades for money and money only? Surely there are people whose main incentive is just money. They are just fewer than one may think. With long-term buy and hold investments on the other hand, it's a completely different story. It is kind of like comparing playing poker to buying and holding an index fund for 2 decades. Given enough time, long-term investments in a solid index stands an overwhelming chance of ending up in the green, whereas most poker players will not be winners due to the zero-sum nature of the game. The same applies to trading, for there is a reason why losing participants, or casino players for that matter, continue to gamble despite piling up losing years. Investing our money in an index fund for 20 years will statistically very likely grant us profits, but it won't make us feel very smart, for our results were expected all along, and neither will the results ever be remarkable for the time period being. They would rather be very average. Thus, investing long-term does not threaten our dream life, as we typically dream of extreme outliers, far away from the mean, whereas long-term investing will always put us alongside some kind of a boring average. So long-term investors' incentive is typically money, because any outcome other than profits is unlikely. Traders, on the other hand, know that the odds are grossly stacked against them, yet they continue. Now, why is that? Please stay with me on this one, because this is where things get truly interesting. First of all, if we claim we trade for money and money only, the only sound way to secure significant profits would be to buy and hold rather than goofing around with our money by constantly moving it back and forth, which statistically is financial suicide. Yet we don't, for our reasons for trading and for playing poker and casino games too for that matter, stem from our idealistic and realistic biases and their respective psychological motivations and shortcomings that they come. An idealist, for example, might trade to feel good, for the fun of it, to feel flow, to prove something, to overcompensate for their inherent insecurities, to forget or suppress personal problems or any other idealistic biases where their feelings overrule the outcome. We see the very same reasons to gambling in casino players. By approaching trading wholeheartedly in this fashion, they automatically trade in self-destructive ways. These self-destructive ways keep them away from their self-deluded and imaginary goals towards which they think they trade. A realist, on the other hand, might trade for the very challenge of it. To feel smart, to see what they are made of, or to simply feel in control. Which of course is a paradox, since the market is the most absurd place in which to look for order. That, quantum physics, and postmodernism.
One of the questions was, what is 2 plus 2? Danny answered 22.
And?
And that's not the right answer.
Says who?
Says math.
Are you calling my son stupid?
A particularly interesting flavor to the mix is people who trade in order to punish themselves, typically for not living up to universal standards. That is, punishing themselves from disobeying the inbuilt morals or universally divine laws. Unawareingly trading to punish ourselves is much more common than one may think. Do note that this is done without our direct knowing, but rather subconsciously. For we don't log on to our stocks account thinking, boy, am I gonna punish myself bad today. Instead, we use trading as a means to balance out our maleficent thoughts and actions ourselves. This again brings us back to the old philosophical dogma where, when asked what it takes to win, the answer is to live right. This is because whatever shitty things we think and do, they will be repaid in one way or another. Jordan Peterson, for one, talks about this very phenomena at length himself and how nobody ever gets away with anything.
I've never ever seen anyone get away with anything.
And let me be very clear about something. The market will give us exactly what we desire. But don't take my word for it. Ask the world-class trader Ed Seykota, for those are his very own words. For that reason, it's key to understand our real incentives, not what we think they are or what we want them to be, but what they actually are. Only then can we adapt our trading and become profitable. But finding out our true incentives may be emotionally challenging and difficult, for we may not like what we find.
Trejo has to face his true self. So what?
That won't be too hard for him.
Oh, that's what everyone thinks. But kind people find that they are cruel. Brave men discover that they are really cowards. Confronted with their true selves, most men run away screaming.
However, this revelation is a key part for anybody who is serious about their trading. For if we trade for the wrong reasons, chances are in strong favor of our money and ourselves going separate. Now, why do I trade? I've taken a hard, long look into the mirror to figure this one out. It certainly didn't come easily, but here's what I found. Until recently, I esteemed money way too highly. Money was an unparalleled driving force, something I valued unhealthily dearly. But still, it wasn't what my heart truly desired. The rather opposite, for I noticed how money imprisoned my mind. For the more I had, the more it occupied me, and the more stress and pressure I felt. It taught me a lesson that I would never have undone in 100 lifetimes. If someone were to offer me $100 million in exchange for this epiphany, I would turn it down without a moment of doubt. And that's the truth of my lifetime. Today, money is my 5th or 6th priority in life, exactly where it belongs. For as long as money is your 1st or 2nd priority in life, it will corrupt you. Getting my emotional and intellectual priorities straight once and for all made me susceptible to the true reasons, not just to trading, but also to life in general. It's like it unblocked something profoundly within me. And the more I go down this path, the less important trading itself is to me. Until recently, I used to trade to feel important, to feel smart, to have something that was mine, something that defined me. Of course, it was also about the passion of it and the satisfying problem-solving process, but mainly it was something by which I identified myself. I did not understand that answering the question "Who are you?" with what I do for a living is a shallow approach to life. We are not what we do. We are not our occupations. And thinking that will cease our growth and rather ensure never-ending troubles and crises throughout our lives. For believe me, as long as you prioritize money and trading too highly, life will bite you in the ass until death does you apart. Today I partly trade for the intellectual challenge of it. It's my brain's version of going to the gym. But my main reason for trading is to learn so that I can pass any knowledge processed through my own mistakes onto you. For trading is grossly misrepresented as something much easier than it actually is. My incentive today is to sow a seed in your mind so that everybody who follows my channel and who isn't there yet can get their priorities straight too. It's one of those things that doesn't make fully sense until you've had one of those aha moments yourself. And I certainly hope I can reach out to as many people as possible and assist them in the process of getting there. For helping others in whatever way I can is the most sustainable and rewarding incentive of them all. That's why helping you is the reason why I trade.